Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and welcome to round number 2 of your Skip Barber Racing School Championship 2018 Season 1, where we will go from Summit Point Raceway to the land of the rising sun for a circuit that is likely most famous for watching Ayrton Senna drive an NSX around in loafers, and that is the Suzuka West Circuit here on RaceSpot TV and iRacing Live. Join us in a few. Welcome back here on RaceSpot TV and iRacing Live as coverage begins of round number 2 of your Skip Barber Racing School Championship here in 2018 Season 1 on the iRacing service. Randy Chineth, Alvin Yeves, Hugo Louis bringing you all the action. And Alvin, we've seen these Skip Barbers a couple of times come here to the Suzuka circuit, but we're running a layout that we don't typically see very often. As I said, people might be familiar having watched back in the early 90s Ayrton Senna wheeling one of the original NSXs around this place in a set of loafers, and you know, everyone should be familiar with the GP track, but the West layout, we don't really see it too much.
And this layout, I think this is to me the most interesting part of the whole Suzuka circuit, this West layout, because I think to me this is perhaps the most technical part of the circuit, and you still have that backstretch that takes you straight into the 130, or one of the most interesting turns here in the Suzuka circuit. For these Skip Barbers will be really interesting coming in here today as they come through the backstretch. If they can go 2, maybe even 3 wide, and how can they go and overtake without, well, being involved in a huge mess.
So for those who are unfamiliar with this layout, it basically cuts half the front half of the circuit. So thinking of your standard front straightaway, the S's, all of that goes away. You start this on the run down towards 130R. That's where the front straightaway is. So that long curving straight between Spoon and 130R. Start the race there. Go through 130R. Then you get hard on the brakes like you normally would for the chicane, but you do it about 75 yards earlier, and there's a double 90-degree right-hander that takes you onto the circuit, basically on the run up towards the first Degner. So you're basically entering the circuit at the top of that long left-hander at Dunlop, and then you basically run the standard rest of the lap. So through the Degners, hairpin, 200R, Spoon, blah, 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 blah. Everything pretty much straightforward from there. But that is going to be a little bit interesting here, Alvin, because that right-hander on the exit of 130R, it comes up soon enough compared to the regular chicane that people are going to have to adjust their timing with making passes, and that double 90-degree right-hander, it's a heck of a lot tighter than the chicane is, if you can believe it or not.
It certainly is, and that'll be one of the really interesting parts in here today for this race. If drivers can adjust to that part going to turns number 2 and 3, remembering that you are not going through the casino triangle or the chicane, depending how you want to call it. So really interesting once they arrive to that point, how they will adjust into going into that turn, because as you just mentioned, Randy, pretty much the rest of the circuit, it's pretty much straight up the same as the whole GP layout, just joining it at the top of the circuit.
Qualifying currently underway. Most of our drivers have already logged laps. Couple drivers seeming not choosing to. Derek Issa, he's not put any qualifying times in yet, so it seems like everyone is pretty much set and sorted, but we'll give everyone a few extra seconds just to be safe. Miko Nasi's out there, but he's already run his timed laps. So, because of that, 10 seconds to go on the timer. No one who can improve. Let's go down your starting grid here for round number 2. Vinicius Roca, he takes pole away with a 1 minute 27.159, full 2/10 of a second pretty much over Miko Nasi. David Pina Jimenez, he rounds off in P3, and Edwin Valerino in that 4th spot. Tyler Hervias and Carlos Rivera Sainz, they make up 5th and 6th, with Jordi Lopez Jr. and Christopher Cash on row number 4, 7th and 8th. Diego Francisco and Rodrigo Meade, 9th and 10th, Francois Bollier and Christian Capenga, 11th and 12th, Carl Dronke and Philip Stoneman, 13th and 14th, Gordon Ramsay and Derek Issa round out the 16-car grid here today. 17 laps. I'm not sure of what the official count of turns is. iRacing's telling me 9, so a 9-turn circuit here, and it's all the tricky bits from the Suzuka circuit. Everyone loves the S's at this place, but it's only really fun in the super high downforce cars, such as Formula 1s, Indy cars, those sorts of things, because you carry enough speed through there. These, they just, well, they don't really have the aero, and they can't carry much speed anyway, so all the technical bits that are going to make these cars interesting to watch over 17 laps of action. Lap time's about 1.5 minutes. Minute 27 is what people were doing in qualifying, as I said. So, should be a relatively quick race here as we wait all the cars to get themselves onto the starting grid. Still just waiting for a couple to get themselves set. Couple things that are going to be interesting on this start. We're not typically used to seeing cars run down into 130R this stacked up and this close. I do believe we have everyone on the grid, so we're going to be waiting for those lights to come on and the revs to start to build here in just a moment. Revs come up. Will everyone get through 130R clean for the first time? It is a good start, but not for Vinicius Roca, your pole sitter, as Miko Nasi is going to get an insane run here on the rundown into corner number 1, which is 130R. Also making it 3 wide is David Pina Jimenez. They're not going to have nearly the speed they typically would coming through here through the left-hander, and already back to 3rd is Vinicius Roca, and he's still getting swarmed and is in the middle of a 3 wide situation. Carlos Rivera Sainz, he's looking on the outside as they come up into the 90-degree right-hander here at turn number 2, but looks like Roca gonna try to stabilize best he can as Nasi, he's gonna take the race lead as they run towards the Degners for the first time.
What a fantastic start there by Carlos Rivera Sainz, going here to be number 4, but for Vinicius Roca, the pole sitter, what a horrid start that he had. Now Miko Nasi and David Pena Jimenez getting out of Degner and going into the hairpin. Now let's see what David Pena Jimenez can do going into the hairpin. It looks like he's gonna stay just right behind Miko Nasi. Let's see what they go coming here out of the hairpin.
You can see some people maybe try some cheeky moves over the course of the 17-lap race, but hairpin not typically a good place to do it. Now they're going to roll through 200R, this long right-hander that runs these cars up towards Spoon. It's mostly a straightaway, and you're flat out, and you'd be flat out in a Greyhound bus really through that entire sector, but it is technically one long corner, even though it feels a bit like a straightaway. Through now the tighter section of Spoon for your race leaders, and now can David Pina Jimenez make a run on Miko Nasi using the slipstream? We know that survival in these little Formula Skip Barber 2000 cars can be an issue. They tend to pop the motors here as Jimenez has a run in the slipstream, and he's going to duck out to the left-hand side in 130R, gets the move done well and clearly true before the corner, but can Miko Nasi fight back? Because it's not a good exit for Jimenez as they go down into corner number 2, hard on the brakes into the right-hander, but Jimenez is now clearing the lead as we got a big shuffle in the back. Tyler Hervias, he almost gets turned from Christopher Cash. A lot of close racing up and down this mid-pack.
Close racing ended here in this mid-pack as Christopher Cash in the number 12 right now, and P number 8, but going 2 wide here into danger between car number 3 and car number 4, Jordi Lopez and Tyler Hervias. But now trying to sort that out. Still racing here hard here in this mid-pack. And Randy, we have seen this race after race after race. This mid-pack, they know that the leaders they are pulling away, and in order for them to try to catch up, we see them pull sometimes some really great moves, but sometimes they also have to remember that the harder you race, more the leaders are going to pull away.
We're already seeing that top four have broken away here as they run through the tail end of 200R here for the second time. Also have side-by-side fighting between Jordi Lopez Jr. and Tyler Hervias. Hervias up the inside here at Spoon, and he gets it through the right-hander. Can he take the line away? Or excuse me, to the left-hander. Can he take the line away to the tighter section? And yes, he's actually going to be able to do so. And I think Jordi Lopez Jr. may be coming under attack from Christopher Cash. No, Cash is going to lift out of that wisely. Race leaders, though, Miko Nasi, he's now using the slipstream to make a move on David Pina Jimenez, and David doesn't even really fight for that, Alvin. So it seems like favored car is tending to be that second place runner as they come out of Spoon. That said, David Pina Jimenez beat Miko Nasi to the line that time through. So you might be able to take the lead on the run into 130R, but you may not get the lead before start finish. That's important.
That is definitely important, especially as we consider pretty much this a battle of tactics going into the final lap. So it looks like right now, P number 2 maybe the play. Also look for P number 3, Benítez Roca, really not far behind David Peña Jimenez right now. So look for him to perhaps try to make a run in the closing laps, or perhaps try to go for a move right now and try to position himself for the win here today.
So back up the hill they go on 200R as Miko Nasi has done a good job actually to stretch a little bit of a gap over David Pina Jimenez. This is going to make things difficult for him trying to make a move. Edwin Ballerino coming under attack from Tyler Hervias as they now get ready to set themselves up for the braking zone into Spoon. All cars hard on the brakes, down a couple of gears, and through that first left-hander that's so quick. And then you need to get the car slowed up, get a late apex, and get yourself set up for this long back straightaway on the run down into 130R. Edwin Ballerino gets a good run, so Hervias may not quite be able to make a move here. Race lead, though, seems to be relatively comfortable as Miko Nasi not yet side-by-side with David Jimenez, and David actually not going to get side-by-side at all on the run into 130R. So Miko Nasi, first one, Alvin, who's able to defend that spot exiting Spoon.
And that'll be one of the key parts in here today in this race. Yes, you can take the lead going into 130R, but it also depends on the lap that the leader can put in throughout the rest of the circuit. And we have seen Miko Nasi, every time he comes into one of these races, we know that he can really race this car around. He really knows his car, he really knows how to handle it. So look for Miko Nasi perhaps to try to pull away just a little bit, little by little. It kind of looks like he is pulling away from David Peña Jimenez. So look for David Peña Jimenez and for Benítez Roca to try to pull back that gap.
Not really seen much from Roca. He's made this a quiet race after that start. Got the pole, and it initially dropped a couple of spots, almost dropped 3 down back to 4th. Now, those who are Skip Barber Racing School fans, you'll be excited to know, of course, late this year, they had some financial troubles. They ended up declaring bankruptcy. News came out yesterday. DeMonte Motorsports has procured Skip Barber Racing Schools, and well, reservations for classes are open immediately, and classes are starting in March of 2018. We still don't know where we are. The whole competition thing, Alvin, that's still a little bit up in the dust, but good news to hear that Skip Barber Racing School is not permanently going away.
And that is definitely good news as well. Well, we're gonna get discussion of the news later as Benítez Roca gets a run from David Peña Jimenez going into 130R, and now he's running into P2. So it kind of looks like he said, you know what, enough is enough. It's time for me to get a run here for the lead if possible.
There's a good move there for Nekis on the run down into 130R. Just got the nose and able to pick up that spot, because it seems like David Pina Jimenez being a little bit calm and cool, running behind Miko Nasi, wasn't wanting to fight with that race lead too hard, and because of that, Jimenez definitely pounced through the deckers. They come and under the bridge and up and down towards the hairpin. Can Jimenez reel in Miko Nasi just a little bit? Because Miko's been doing a good job. He's sort of gotten this nice little gap here, Alvin, and hasn't really come under attack from either of these guys behind in the last handful of laps. We saw the opening couple laps and swapping spots back and forth rigorously, and it's really calmed down now amongst these top 3.
Definitely calmed down, but this is pretty much what we are going to see all race long from these 3. They know that there's really no point in fighting for position right now, so if you see one of them trying to get a move for position, the car in front is really not gonna put that much of a fight. They're just gonna let it go because they know that right now, no point in fighting. Now, when we come to 3, maybe 2 laps to go, that will be a totally different story.
Down now, this long, as it feels weird calling this the front straightaway, as Mikko Nasi goes defensive, Vinicus Roca, he's not going to push it. I think these guys also keeping in mind the engine temperature issues we're used to seeing. It's really, really common to these Skip Barber cars. If you tuck yourself up in the slipstream for too long to end up popping a motor through turns number 2 and 3, your leaders will now come. Looking a little bit deeper down the order, Jordi Lopez Jr., he's in a close fight with, well, basically the rest of the field, really, because it's Tyler Hervias right on his bumper, followed by Cash on his bumper, and then all these names just bumper to bumper to bumper. It goes Valerino, Capenga, Mises, Francisco, Dronke, Stoneman, and Derek Issa. He's there as well. Gordon Ramsay, the only driver, he's barely in this chain. He's just a couple of seconds back. Only other driver 20 seconds back is Francois Boulier. So, oh, we got one big incident. Carl Dronke, he's facing the wrong way after Degner number 2, and he just got this wrong, completely wrong all by himself. Well done through the first Degner, but all sorts of loose to Degner number 2, and he ends up spinning and almost catches that 14 machine. Philip Stoneman, lucky bloke, not getting caught up in that one.
Definitely lucky for him, but really unlucky for Carl Dronke, as he is right now running all the way pretty much. And what is the back of the field? Well, actually not really all the way to the back of the field, because that pretty much corresponds to Francois Boulier. But for Carl Dronke, really unfortunate, and that is one name that we see here that it kind of seems like he is weak after week, maybe a contender for a good finish, but always something always happens towards the race for Carl Dronke, that it's really like a black cloud that always hovers him.
Fighting's getting hot in this second pack. Tyler Hervias tried to make a move on the inside of Christopher Cash. Actually, take that back. Christopher Cash made a move on the outside of Tyler Hervias. Edwin Valerino, he looked to try to pounce, wanted to pick up a spot as well. Unable to do so. So move that number 3 machine back one spot. Jordi Lopez Jr., even with that little bit of damage on the front of that car, likely going to be hurting the top end. He still is out there leading as they work themselves through the Degners. This is where Dronke caught that issue. Everyone else, is they're going to be nice and safe through here. Yeah, everyone's going to be nice, cool, calm, and running here through this part of the racetrack. And that's one of the things, Alvin, when we talk about this racetrack. A lot of people talk about the complexity, even on the GP circuit, of turn 1, the S's, Dunlop. They talk about the hairpin and the braking zone there. Spoon, 130R, the Casio chicane. I've always been a huge proprietor that the most difficult part of this lap, of this circuit, and to get it right, are the Degners, because that just feels like the one place on track where things can easily go wrong.
Degner definitely one of the hardest one of the hardest sections here at Suzuka, no question about it. But I'll also throw another one that is also as hard, if not harder, and it's also the Spoon curse. And only for these drivers today, we both of them. We have the Degners and we have the Spoon, because Degner it's kind of like a double apex. It's really deceiving on the first one that you can push, but then the second one it's really tough. And then you have the Spoon curve where the second one, it kind of feels like it goes off camber and it kind of goes like up and down. And also another really hard one to get, because it leads you to the back straight, and trying to get that run good, well, that is one of the hardest things here in Suzuka for sure.
Still hard fighting here in this second group, as Christopher Cash, he now is going to lead that second group after a good move on Jordi Lopez Jr. Nets him a spot now inside of the top 5. Tyler Hervias, he's still there and lurking, as is Edwin Valerino, Christian Capenga, Rodrigo Mises, Derek Issa, Philip Stoneman. Pretty much everyone who's in that group, has been in that group, is still there and running. Carlos Sainz sort of finds himself in a weird little bubble out there on the racetrack. He's 4 minutes behind the likes of this leading group with Jimenez, Roca, and Nasi, and he's 4 seconds ahead of Christopher Cash. So right now, if you're Carlos Sainz, you have to feel pretty nice here, Alvin, because the lead group is out far enough that you don't need to push to reel them in, and that second group is far enough back that no real need to push and keep them back there. He can sort of just quietly log laps and hope that some sort of pandemonium happens to the top 3 out in front of him. He can pick up spots. That pandemonium might be getting ready to kick off, as Jimenez, he wants to make a move off Vinicus Roca, and he looks to the inside. Roca gets stuck behind Mikko Nasi in the run into 130R through this left-hander, and Nasi gets it clean, and David P. Jimenez, he's going to take that second spot, but that's going to open up a little bit of a gap to Mikko Nasi, because of the fact that he had to sort of give up his entry just a little bit, couldn't carry the speed through, but he should be able to reel Mikko Nasi back in with the slipstream this next time by. But good move from Jimenez.
Absolutely good move there by David Peña Jimenez. But for Carlos Sainz, he is really in that position that that you just pointed out, Randy. He is really comfortable. Yes, the lead group it's almost 5 seconds ahead, and then the second group it's a little bit under 4 seconds behind. As long as he can log in his laps, and yes, we have seen that towards the end of the race, that lead group, that it may get a bit crazy with the racing for the race for the win. So definitely Carlos Urrea is not out of this, but considering what we have seen from the top 3 right now, I don't think that's gonna be the case. They have been really patient throughout these laps so far, and it doesn't look to me as David Peña Jimenez a little bit of a slide here going into Spoon.
Maybe starting to fall apart a little bit amongst his top 3. Miko Nasi, he's going to have a nice little gap here because of that little hiccup through Spoon. David Pina Jimenez, after all that work to pick up the second spot, will immediately lose it back to Vinicius Roca as they run down to 130R. And what's really important here, Alvin, 7/10 of a second lead now for Miko Nasi over Roca. Miko's right on the brink of having that draft broken through the 2 cars in front of him. So if he can stretch out here, maybe a couple tenths through this infield section, well, not infield section, but from here all the way up to Spoon, if he can stretch out any sort of lead at all, he pretty much will have that draft broken.
And that is pretty much the main challenge here for Miko Nasi. He has been leading pretty much the whole race so far. So the more Vinicius Roca and David Peña Jimenez, they keep fighting, the more the chance for Miko Nasi to keep pulling. So that said, Vinicius Roca also recognizes that that is what may happen, and for him and David Peña Jimenez, they are trying to settle down just a little bit to see if they can catch Miko Nasi, because they really don't want him to pull away.
Second pack is still hot as Christopher Cash takes the lead back. Jordi Lopez Jr. had that 5th spot for a short time. Christopher Cash now sits in it. Tyler Bias continues to run pretty much where he's been the entire time. And behind, Christian Pengas just swapped spots with Edwin Ballerino. They run 8th and 9th currently on the racetrack, and they now work themselves through Spoon. Down the long front straightaway again for pretty much everyone up and down this field. And looks like Miko Nasi not going to be able to breathe easy here. Vinicius Roca didn't quite lose enough time that he lose that slipstream, and was able to reel that one machine right back in here, Alvin. So I think Miko maybe hoping a little bit, probably looking in his mirror to say, you know what, is that slipstream finally done or dusted? Do I not have to worry about those 2 in my mirrors anymore, as we're coming up on 5 laps to go here in just a couple minutes time? And unfortunately for him, he's going to have to keep thinking about those 2 behind.
Absolutely, those two behind definitely recognized what was going on and decided to keep it just a little bit simple to try to catch to Miko Nasi. So now Miko Nasi again under pressure, but we've also seen that throughout this whole race that for Miko Nasi, he has been calm, cool, and collected, really not shown any signs to crumble under pressure. But as the race closes in, Vinicius Roca and David Peña Jimenez are not going to be as patient as they are right now.
Things are still heating up in the second group. Jordi Lopez Jr. just took the 5th spot back from Christopher Cash, and if you have a keen eye, a bit of a gap has opened up from 6th and 7th. That's between Christopher Cash and Tyler Hervias. That's because they were side by side for that 7th spot, exiting 130R and through the double right-hander at turns number 2 and 3. So Tyler Hervias, he has that spot for now, but a bit of a gap has opened up to Chris Cash. And unfortunately for Mr. Hervias is that he's in a situation where when Miko Nasi almost had that draft broken, the cars behind him knew that he was going to be the car that was cutting a hole through the air, Alvin. But because Chris Cash has the slipstream, I don't know if Tyler Hervias is going to be able to reel it in, as Cash is going to look to the outside of Jordi Lopez Jr., and Jordi's just going to give it to him here as they run through 130R. Will there be any swaps for position in the background? Doesn't seem like that's the case. No. And your race leaders, they all continue to stay line astern pretty much, as we're now comfortably, well, next time through, going to be 5 laps to go.
Yeah, pretty much a good move there by Christopher Cash, and really smart by Jordi Lopez, recognizing that there was really no point in trying to fight for that position. Now Jordi Lopez keeping really close to Christopher Cash coming here into Degner. He's still close, so perhaps look for him to make a move going into the hairpin as he stays just behind. And we take this little kink right-hander here going into the hairpin, and let's see if Jordi Lopez makes a move. And so far, no, he's gonna stay right behind, but I think this battle is not over yet.
I'll definitely agree with that. Fight's nowhere near over just yet. We've not seen a lot of people here, Alvin, make any moves down at the hairpin. I don't think we've seen any passes outside of 130R and that run up towards turn number 2. As that number 4 machine, he's going to get a run and maybe prove me wrong. No, thought about making that move up towards Spoon, but no one's even made a move, I think, at the hairpin or under braking for the Degners or anything like that. All of our moves has come as a cause of the slipstream down in 130R and the braking zone down in the corner number 2.
It certainly has been here to the front of the pack here, as Vinicius Roca defending really hard from David Peña Jimenez and Nico Nassi also making moves, trying to make sure that nobody gets that lead right away from him. So this leading packet starting to really heat up as the race start closing in. Yep, pretty much David Peña Jimenez and Vinicius Roca showing no patience. They want to get that lead, and the fight is going to heat up right now.
Under the bridge they come and up towards the hairpin once again. Will that 2 machine maybe throw the first move you've seen down at the hairpin? No, everyone's going to stay pretty much single file here amongst your top 3. What about your second pack? Is Christopher Cash still defending the lights of Jordi Lopez Jr. and Tyler Herbias? That second group has gotten a little bit strung out due to some of the incidents we've seen there down in the hairpin here, as we're going to be 4 laps to go as we come across stripe. Again, everyone remains single file and through 200R now for your leaders in the run into Spoon. How will these guys in second and third, Alvin, be this time down this back straightaway? Do you think you still play the patience game for another lap or 2? Or do you start really pushing and knocking on the door of that number 1 machine right here, right now?
I think this is the time to start putting pressure there on Nico Nassi. Yes, he has shown that pretty much throughout this race that he has been cool, calm, and collected. After all, he is a fan, so pretty much ice, water flow. Oh my God, and big contact there on the lead. Nico Nassi into the wall.
Big incident, that 2 machine. I'm not sure what Vinicius Roca was doing. He just couldn't decide which way he wanted to go, and he just flat out drove into the back of Nico Nassi and ended up putting him into the wall. So Vinicius Roca, he's going to take the race lead. And actually, no, I take that back. Nico Nassi, I'm not sure what has happened. Who's going to have the lead here? Might be David Pina Jimenez, who actually has the race lead, but a huge incident between those two. Alvin takes both of them pretty much out of the picture.
Definitely what they were not looking back, but going to that battle in position to Nico Nassi. So really a heads up by Vinicius Roca, but I don't think that's gonna be enough, because it seems like Nico Nassi, the damage to his car is really bad, but Nico Nassi not giving up, trying to keep that car on the track. So really good for him.
Important to note that, as Alvin just said, Vinicius gave that spot back, so realize that he just made a very uncharacteristic mistake. We don't typically see that from Vinicius, and he instantly gave that spot back to Nico Nassi. It's going to be the second spot, unfortunately. David Pina Jimenez, he's now opened up, well, rather been given a pretty big lead. And considering the way this race went, Alvin, that fight for the victory just got relative, I don't want to say boring or bland, but it went from a 3-car scrap to get to the end. And now David Pina Jimenez, he's just basically had a 10-second gap over the rest of the field, and he can basically twiddle his thumbs and bring this one home.
Definitely for him, it's going to be a smooth sailing to the win here, but Nico Nassi and Vinicius Roca entering into the pits, getting a little bit of a fast repair here, coming back into the track. Yes, it is a fresh car. Now let's see how many positions they can make back.
So we have to keep an eye, though, on those second groups, and boy, oh boy, are they heating up. Jordi Lopez Jr. fighting hard with Christopher Cash. You also have the likes of Christian Capenga and Tyler Herbias. So we've had that lead group get essentially destroyed and broken apart. This second pack is heated right back up as Jordi Lopez Jr. leads that second pack in that 5th spot. Just took the spot away from Christopher Cash. 2 laps to go here at the end of this lap, Alvin, and this second pack doesn't look like calming down whatsoever. And I think when we get the white flag, there's a little bit of a gap now, but the likes of Rodrigo Mises, Edwin Ballerino, Derek Issa, they are not far behind this quartet of drivers. And if they go side by side long enough, those cars would make this a 7 to 8 car train very well, as Jordi Lopez Jr. already coming under attack from Christopher Cash as they head down towards Spoon.
Well, if you think about it, around 2-3 laps ago, this was a battle for P number 5. Now this is a battle for the final step of the podium, with Jordi Lopez Jr. leading this group, but Christopher Cash, Christian Capenga, and Tyler Herbias definitely not giving up on this battle. They want to pick it. As the car number 4 goes into the pits.
Jody Lopez Jr. comes down pit lane. Not sure why. This is very, very odd. Maybe under fueling that car is Kapanga and Cash. They're going to be side by side at 130R. So 4 cars get cycled down into 3 here. As Kapanga runs now down into this double right-hander defensively, Christopher Cash almost makes wheel-to-wheel contact, and now through this double right-hander, Christian Kapanga, he will suddenly have that final step on the podium.
Good move there by Christian Kapanga after taking P number 3, but Christopher Cash and Tyler Higgins definitely not giving up in this fight, but looking a little bit back. Eli Vallarino, Rodrigo Metz, Derek Isa, not far behind this fight. So if these three keep fighting, we may see a 6-7 car battle for the final step of the podium, but time is running out for sure.
Down into Spoon for the penultimate time. David Pina Jimenez is going to lead. He will take the white flag, but that's not what we're going to be watching. We need to keep our eyes on Christopher Cash and Christian Kapanga, Tyler Hervias. You also have Derek Isa and Edwin Vallarino all in this little group. Through Spoon for them for the penultimate time, and this is where all of the action is about to kick off through the second half of that famous left-hander here in Japan, and down this long front straightaway here on the West Circuit. What a run for Christopher Cash. He is easily going to take this spot away from Kapanga. Where, though, will Kapanga start to fight back? Tyler Hervias is going to try to push the 12 up in front as well, but Hervias not going to be able to pick up a spot. He's going to need to try to make a move here down at corners number 2 and 3. Pretty much single file from these guys up until this part of the racetrack, and still everyone being really calm through 2 and 3. Need to be perfect, need to be tidy here. There's wheel-to-wheel behind, though. That's Derek Isa as well as Miko Nasi. They fight wheel-to-wheel as they come now through Dunlop and on the run towards the Degners. These guys scrapping it out for the final podium position through Degner 1 clean, through Degner 2 clean. And I have to say, it's been a lot calmer on this white flag lap than I imagined it would have been. Christopher Cash, though, will Kapanga throw a move up into the hairpin? Final lap, no he won't, but Hervias will along the outside. He is gonna gamble and try to make something stick, but will it? He actually gets a fantastic run down onto 200R. So now Tyler Hervias has this long inside groove, and he will take the 4th spot away from Christian Kapanga. Can he make something happen? Down into Spoon for the final time. Hard on the brakes and down a couple of gears. Right now, Kapanga, he's going to throw it up the inside of Hervias into the first part of Spoon. As your race leader, he's going to come down the front straightaway and win is David Pina Jimenez, but the fight is still on for 3rd as Hervias trying to get a run down on the front straightaway onto Christopher Cash, working the slipstream, but will he get close enough? No, he won't. Christopher Cash will take 3rd here at Suzuka.
What a fantastic race there for that last place out the podium. It all pretty much kicked out with the incident between Suzuka and Miko Nasi here in the lead, and that pretty much has sprung up this battle for the final step on the podium. What a fantastic battle with essentially car number 12, Christopher Cash, here, but we also have to give it for David Peña Jimenez. He did the race that he had to do. He stayed out of trouble, and he got the win here today.
What a run it was here tonight, up and down the field. Drama up and down the field, exciting moments up and down the field, and disappointment up and down the field. Let's go down the race results here live from Suzuka. David Pina Jimenez takes victory here tonight over the rest of the field in what was a dramatic end for his other 2 compatriots just a few laps from the race's end. In second, Carlos Herrera Sainz, who out of everyone on the grid probably had the quietest race in that little bubble, in second. Christopher Cash 3rd, Tyler Hervias 4th, and Christian Kapanga rounds out the top 5. Edwin Vallarino will finish 6th. Miko Nasi somehow drives that damaged car up to 7th. Derek Isa 8th. Rodrigo Misi's 9th, and Vinicius Roca will round out your top 10. Philip Stoneman 11th, Jody Lopez Jr. 12th, Gordon Ramsay 13th, Francois Boulian 14th, Carl Jonke 15th, and Diogo Francisco, only driver to finish off the lead lap, finishes 16th, 7 laps down. If you're not done watching iRacing content just yet, well, you shouldn't be, because we got a big show coming up in a couple of moments. The Rise of Champions 250 for the Raven Graphics and eSpeed Contender Series happens tonight. Of the 4 drivers, we decide who is eventually champion. So is it going to be Keith Stewart? Is it going to be Brandon Holder? Is it going to be Ed Zaghetti? Is it going to be which of those 4 to bring it home tonight? Hope to see you in a couple of moments time tuning in to that. But until then, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.